All right, welcome to another edition of the Social Proof Podcast, man. We find the dopest people to explain what they do in a dope way. So I have my friend, okay. First off, throughout the conversation, just know she really likes me, okay? She really it's not gonna seem like it, okay? But this is my homie, my coach. She be over me all the time because this is definitely our second interview, but I messed up the audio. So that's why you're gonna be like, yo, she doesn't really like it very much, but she does. She does, I promise you. So welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me again.
Oh, I'm happy to be.
Yeah, I'm always excited to come here.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's good. That's good. You wasn't excited earlier. It's like, don't make sure it's right. You know?
Yeah. For the people.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to jump into it because, again, you've been teaching me so much in terms of teaching and educating because you are an educator, right? But I'll let you introduce yourself.
Well, I really don't know why I'm here. I don't know why this guy wants me.
Oh, y'all going to find out in just a minute.
In this seat. But I am an educator of about 16 years. I've been outside of the classroom for about 4 years now. Education is what I do.
When you say outside of the classroom, what do you mean?
Well, I don't necessarily work directly with scholars anymore. So my goal is to impact adults, and then their practices should change, and it impacts scholars.
Gotcha. And you got me using the right terminology of scholars, right? So where does that come from?
All right. So
they're not kids, students, children.
And we just had this conversation a few seconds ago about what's higher. Some words are just more sophisticated than others, right? So we've had this debate at work too, like should we call them students or and most of my work is in the poverty-stricken areas, right? So a lot of them don't really want to call them scholars, but I have always called my scholars because I give them something to live up to, and that's my expectation for them. Scholar is higher than student. Yeah. So even if they're not being a scholar at the time, I remind them of what a scholar looks like or how a scholar behaves. So if a scholar is misbehaving, we don't necessarily say you're acting like a thug or you're acting like such and such. No, I redirect the behavior to say, now that's not what a scholar does. Our scholar comes to school prepared. They have their pencils, they have their paper, they come with their homework, they are setting examples for others. So it's like almost like speaking those things that are not as though they were, and then you'll start to see them act like scholars versus students. For sure. And then they'll start to call themselves that as well,
So I want to start back on like how you got into this space, but you maybe I don't know how recently, but you had a life-changing situation where you lost a lot of weight, right? When did you?
So, yeah.
When did that journey start?
That was a long time ago, really.
How long ago?
It was a long time ago. Well, I'm going on about almost 10 years now.
10 years.
Yeah. When I relocated to Atlanta almost 11 years ago was when I started to actually change lifestyle as it relates to health, wellness, fitness.
Yeah, here's the crazy thing, because you work out, because I see your stories, you work out like you just lost the weight, like you try to keep it off for sure.
Yes, because people don't understand that. They think that you can lose the weight and chill and just get dressed, go to all the parties, the events, have a great time. But it's actually harder to keep the weight off than it is to actually lose the weight. Because your body has really gotten adjusted to what you've been doing. Yeah. So, for instance, I've been maintaining my weight loss, not necessarily trying to lose any more weight. And if I wanted to lose some more weight, I would really have to go on like a strict diet. So I would even go further than what I'm doing right now, because my body is pretty much maintaining my current weight. So it's not a situation where you can just go and lose the weight and then say, I'm good, forget that, I'm not doing that anymore. You really have to take it up a notch. Like, you got to go up. Sure. Well, you can't get, because if you get comfortable, That old you is coming back, and listen, you blink your eye and you back where you started.
Right. What was your max weight?
So let me make this clear, is that I'm only 5'3". So I wear a lot of heels and I appear to be taller than, what people think I am. So I carry my weight different. So height has a lot to do with it. Like when I talk to you about your stomach, when it's sometimes bulging.
Why'd you make this about me?
No,
like,
I just want to say,
alright.
sometimes it's bulging out of your video in pictures and stuff, and I screenshot it and send it to you, right?
They wasn't even noticing that until you said so.
But you can push back from a soda, and instantly it changes, right? Because look how tall you
I
are.
put my arm over here, just like, okay, go ahead.
Look
I'm sorry.
how tall you are, though. Look how tall you are compared to me. So I carry the weight different. So imagine me being 5'3", weighing over 230 pounds. That's extremely unhealthy. Like,
wow.
And large and obese, all of those things. So, but when you're larger, you just do extra. You get your hair done, nails done, all those things. But it's not about what it looks like for me. I'm way past that. If it was just about what it looked like, I probably wouldn't still be going. Because I feel like I look just fine. But it's all about the inside, and when you're going to the doctor and the doctor's kind of checking you off on all these boxes, like you're good, you're good, you're good, you're good. And then it also taps into your mental space, because now working out helps me deal with people. Like,
how so?
Because if I don't work out in the morning before I go to the job site, it's like the whole mood shifts.
Right. For sure.
Like some people are coming in the morning and they're dragging, but I'm like, good morning, good morning, good morning. I've been up since 3:40, so I've taken the time to work on me and do what I need to do so that I can come in and give 110% on the job site. Some people are still asleep, and like, oh, I'm just dragging, but I've already gotten through that phase because I've been up, right? So it really helps me deal with people. It helps me with my social skills and things of that nature. So I never go to work without working out.
Wow, I've never even heard that perspective.
If you try it and you start to get that feeling, you like, this really helps me get myself centered, for the day, and I'm ready to take on whatever the day may bring, because I've taken a little bit of time. It's a sacrifice now. I make some sacrifices to do that, because I don't watch TV during the week. I go to bed early. You know that when you text me late, and I, and what's going to start happening is I'm going to start responding when I get up at 3:40, because the people keep playing with my rest.
I'm like, yo, I got the curriculum. It's done. And I know her face is like.
The next morning, I'm like, man, I've been asleep like a long time. So because your rest is important, in order to get up, you got to go down. That's just what it is. So,
I like that. So let's go back before you were, over 230 pounds. What was the thing that made you say, this can't be my life?
So it's a lot of health-related deaths. Like, it's that serious. Like, at what point
in your family?
In the family. So, but at what point does the light bulb come on and you say, you know what, I got to do something different, before it actually hits you. So, I have a lot of, you may see me pay a lot of respect to my cousin who died of breast cancer, and she was just, 42 years old. And it came back the second time with a vengeance. And not to say that, when it came the first time and she beat it, that she, straightened everything out. You know what I mean? As it related to health. My uncle died in church of a heart attack. My cousin, who was maybe like 32 at the time, went to sleep, never woke up. Her teenagers found her dead, and later we found out it was because of hypertension. So at the time, I was reaching 30-something. So I was like, you know what? I need to do something different. This is clearly, and we're all two sisters' children. That's how close this is. And a lot of cancer just running through my family, a lot of high blood pressure. So, and I had just relocated to Atlanta. So I said, it seems like the gym is the thing to do. That's what everybody's doing. So I'm going to do it. And I had a trainer and everything. You know, Tiss, she's my
Oh,
trainer.
Tiss,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, like, I'm literally paying this lady. And I yo-yo for an entire year.
Yo-yo, what do you mean?
Meaning lose and gain the same 5 pounds for an entire year. Because I wouldn't commit to the diet, the nutrition part. I was doing the workout.
You up and down 5 pounds for a year.
For over a year.
Wow.
While I was paying this lady money. So that lets you know that I wasn't committed to the process, right? Yeah. And then that's when my cousin died in her sleep of hypertension. And we were all very close in age. And then I was like, hey, this can't be life. Like, you got to really start fully committing to this work and to this process, because I was next in line, literally next in line.
And that's how you probably saw it in your head, like, wow, family, it's coming to me.
Exactly. And so that's one of the reasons why I tell my story a lot, because my hope is that people don't let that be their family. Yeah. You know, like, I expose all my family business without their permission, you know. But the hope is that someone looks at it and say, you know, I want to be an inspiration for my family, so that these things don't run rapid through my family and I'm burying, you know, family member after family member after family member. Because this is how we were raised, you know. We ate good every day of the week, like Sunday meals, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And we didn't know any better. It was because of a lack of knowledge, you know. So
you were, when you were working with Tiss, were you consistent with the workouts?
I was consistent with the workouts, killing the workouts. Showing up, letting her kill me every day.
Up and down 5 pounds.
Up and down 5 pounds for over a year. Tisley came into my house and literally cleaned out my cabinets, my refrigerator. It was some things I did not know. Like, if you say I can eat veggies, I was eating them from the can. I didn't know any better, right? And she's like, Donesha, look at the sodium in this.
But they veggies, though.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
And I was like, what are you talking about? I had to be taught all these things because I did not know, which is also another thing when you're looking at finding a trainer. Make sure you find someone that's in it for more than just the money, because that wasn't something that I paid her to do. She just literally saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. I didn't see training for my life in me. She saw that in me long before I was ever able to birth that. So she gave me way more than what I paid for, because she's really into fitness, into helping people. And that's what you got to look for when you're thinking about, you know, putting your health in somebody's hands. It can't just be about the money.
Wow.
It has to be about more than that.
So as soon as because I think a major key is you were consistent with the workouts. Like, the first step is at least getting consistent with the work. That got to be discouraging, though, to be like working out this often and not losing.
Yeah, it's very discouraging.
Why didn't you quit?
I mean, I found my why, you know, and it's the same thing that keeps me getting up every single day, you know, because, you know, I have people that, first of all, look to me for inspiration, you know, and the first person I'm trying to be is me. I'm my competition every single day, because if you've ever been overweight, you have a great chance of being overweight again, right? If you don't stay on top of it. So that old me is like sitting on my shoulder, literally waiting for her opportunity to take over again. And so I have to fight her every single day when she says, rest this morning, don't get up. And I have to fight. I have to dig into my why. If the why is not strong enough, then you'll make 1,000,001 excuses. But mine is solid. Like, it is completely solid. Centered around deaths, centered around how I feel. I feel better. You know what I mean? You know, the looks are the last thing. That's at the bottom. But the way I feel, the way I'm able to go into work, approach people, handle situations, a lot of that has to do with because my health is in a different place now, you know. And then also able to help other people along the way. That also helps out. So my why is solid. I think when I was yo-yoing, I hadn't found that yet. But I wasn't so lost that I didn't quit, but I really hadn't found why I really needed to keep going until my cousin lost her life. And it shouldn't get to that point. We had too many, you know, signs prior to that happening when we should have kind of shifted and did what we were supposed to do. Now, what God has for me is going to come on me, and he'll give me the strength to fight it. But I don't think that I should be just, welcoming it all.
Right.
Eating everything in the world and not taking care of my temple, So I'm going to do my part. And hopefully, if anything ever comes my way, I'm able to, handle it.
Absolutely. And I know you said looks are like the last thing, but as you start losing this weight, like your prospects.
Listen, let me tell you
I know
something.
their prospects
I
went up,
looked good at
I
over
know you
230 pounds. I was killing it.
I understand.
This is one of the reasons why I stayed overweight for so long, because I felt like I was doing
Is that
it.
right? I heard that.
Big girl, like I was
I had
the
no problem.
spokesperson for the big girls doing it well. What are you talking about? I was blinded by all of that because I kept myself together. If you look at all my before pictures, I'm what? Hand on hip. Yes. Look at them. Look at them. You don't see me frowning in any of them. I'm serving.
I know you a servant. So
it definitely wasn't a confidence thing for me. So that I didn't have to battle with that because I've always loved the heck out of me. It's self-love is where all of that begins. And then I also believe that I've conquered some battles in my life prior to ever getting to just fitness, because people wonder, how can you keep this going? But I feel like I've always had it in me to do whatever I decide to do and put my mind towards well. I don't think you know this, but I used to be in foster home for about 5 or 6 years.
Really?
Yeah. So
what ages?
I went in at 13, and I stayed there right up until before I was going to go to college.
Really?
So, yeah, came out of that thing better, even though it was a turmoil situation. It wasn't the best situation, but I was determined not to become a product of my environment, right? So mom had just left, drugs, all of this, got up one day, went to the police department and was like, I can't do this, they put her on the crazy floor, right? My brother went back to Jersey because we're from Jersey.
Older brother?
Older brother went back to Jersey.
What part of Jersey?
Brick City, Newark. Okay. So he went back to Jersey with his dad. My sister and I, which is also another part of my why, no one in my family took us. Like, nobody stepped up. My mom it was like 15 of them. Nobody stepped up and took us. So we ended up in foster care.
Hold on, where was your father?
So father never been around. He and my mom, when I was younger, had a dispute around him wanting to keep me and her wanting to keep me, and then she kind of took me, and we left. Yeah, so we left Jersey.
Wow. Okay, so y'all left Jersey and moved where?
To Alabama.
What part?
Dothan.
Dothan, Alabama.
Dothan, okay. Alabama.
Y'all moved to Dothan, Alabama. It's your mom, you, your brother, and your sister.
Yep.
How old is your brother?
So
how old was your brother at this time?
We're doorstep, so I'm 40 now, so he's like 42, and my sister is like 39. We're that close.
So at this point, your brother was 15.
Yeah.
And he went back to Jersey.
He went back to Jersey.
With who?
With his father. His father, he and my sister have the same father. I don't.
Oh.
And then also him being a guy.
Why your sister ain't go with her brother?
Because they wanted to keep my sister and I together. So, we're sisters. You know what I mean?
I was just painting this picture in my head, like y'all at the house, your mom goes to the police.
We were at the house.
And your brother's like, all right, y'all, I'm out of here.
No, not like that. Okay. It was like when it came down to where are these kids going?
Gotcha.
My brother is like, his dad is like, he's going to take him,
Gotcha.
And then my sister, they didn't want to split us up. We're girls. We just, and we're really close.
Why didn't he fight for your? And maybe you don't know the answer, but I know if I have a son and a daughter, and then there's a step, I guess you'd be his stepdaughter.
Yeah.
No, not really though. Because
but no, they were never married. So and he's never. And so you can. It's like my brother. His dad, my mom, and then they separate, right?
Right, but I'm saying,
and then my mom go have me. And then they get hooked back up again and have my sister. You see what I'm saying? So, and then he's a guy, and if you've ever lived in Brick City, it's not easy living there, So but he could handle that. And I'm not saying when he went back, he had his best of days, because he was in the streets and all of that, and got cut up by a machete. All kinds of things happened. My mom even went back to Jersey. Once she got out of the hospital, she went back to Jersey. My sister and I went to foster care.
Wow.
So we stayed, my mom and my brother were in Jersey together. She's still processing, still going through her situations. And then, you know, everybody has to find their own path. You know, I never held any of it against her. Loved her just like, you know, nothing ever happened. But because she came back for us. Like, she came back, got through a program, got clean, got saved. And I was a senior in high school, and she started fighting to get us back. And so we went through counseling, all of these types of things. And the foster home wasn't the best situation. It was rocky. You know, the foster mom was a little just, it was difficult.
Yeah.
I experienced some difficult days there. Like, we used to do some stuff. And see, this is what I talk to people about sometimes with when you think about a person's drive. You may not know everything that or why they keep going. Like, for instance, in that foster home, we didn't have hot water. So we would have to warm our hot water up, put it in the tub or put it in the pan to take a bath. This was Christmas morning. I might have been like in the 11th grade, I think. Had just got some new shoes from my social worker, had them on, had some leggings on, and I was warming my water for my bath. So I would take it from the stove to the sink and then pouring it, and I slipped and fell. So all of this hot water fell on top of me. You know, back then, you know, people don't know what to do for a burn. So we went and trying to put butter on it, you know, but that was really like literally cooking my legs at the time. So coming out of the tights, blisters just start popping up all over, boom, boom. So my foster mom is at church at the time, so we have to call the ambulance to come and get me, go to the hospital, and I think this is one of the most discouraging things that I've ever heard her say. As I'm laying there and they're trying to put ice to cool my legs off to try to stop the burns, she comes in and the doctor is like, you know, do you know what happened to son? And she said, yeah, she was cooking. So these are the type of situations that some foster homes or some foster children have to go through. And so you're really on mute. You don't really have a voice, you know? So I'm just like, wow. So I go through intensive physical therapy, occupational therapy, because they have to they have to do any grafting, but they have to take all of that dead skin off. Just imagine how painful that is. And every day you're going and sitting in a whirlpool, getting wrapped up, all these kind of things, you know.
At what age?
So I'm about 17 at the time.
Wow.
Yeah, 16, 17 at the time. And then you get put back in that home, right? And so you're telling your social worker, that's not how I got burnt, you know what I mean? And so the social worker's coming for a visit. What happens when by the time the social worker gets there, it's a brand new hot water heater. So it's no longer an issue, right? So all of that hurt and everything I took with me to college, and I did a lot of writing. You know, during my speeches, it was all about my experiences in foster care. Would I take any of them back? Nope.
Was that like your therapy?
I think so, and I believe that made me the woman that I am, because I took a lot away from that. Like, for one, it'll never be a situation where any of my family members have to go into foster care, because I'm gonna always keep myself on track and available, arms wide open, to be able to support any of my family members, because that could have not happened, you know. You know, and I mean, I've raised my sister's son until he was 17, and he recently went back to his mom. But everybody's not built that way, you know, and they don't think the same way. But, you know, when I think about things like that, like, if I can get through that, I can get through losing 100 pounds.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? That didn't kill me as a teenager. Like, I didn't let this lady kill me, you know, and I didn't let her kill my spirit. I didn't let her kill who I knew I would eventually turn out to be. And then, you know, my mom came back for us. You know, after we got into such a battle, we were going through this counseling, and at the time I was turning 18, and girls at the age of 18 can leave foster care. My sister was not, so I definitely didn't want to leave her there. So we just expedited the process, and then both of us were able to go back home to live with my mom. So, you can't judge a book by its cover, and every person does not become a product of their environment. Some of us actually know how to turn those losses into wins, or to use those things as forms of strength.
Yeah.
So sometimes, I'm always encouraging people like, oh, I hear you when you say what you went through, but okay, how are you going to use that as leverage to get to where you need to be?
For sure. Yeah, you went through a whole lot, and it's kind of painting a picture of why you're in the field that you're in now, because it's almost like no child left behind. You feel me? Because you were there. And before I get into that, how do you think it affected you? Because that's trauma. You know what I mean? Like, you're a child, right? Father not there. Your mom is there, kinda, right? Maybe not necessarily in a motherly role. And then you get this sense of abandonment, and then you're somewhere you don't want to be. You know that they're not necessarily in love with you, and it might be a transactional situation. How did it affect you throughout, your life and, relationships, things of that nature?
I don't know. I think I've taken it, with a grain of salt and used it to elevate, which I think I still do that now. Even
Have you ever really locked in and really dealt with it head on?
But I think I've dealt with it head on because, for one, I can speak about it, and I can speak about it to my foster mom, and I don't, feel any kind of way about that.
Right.
But the fact that I wouldn't go back and change any of it, because I think I needed that.
For sure.
Because now I see where, when I save other people, or, save them from some experiences, they don't necessarily have that skin that they need sometimes to deal with things that happen in life, because they've always been saved. So in one sense, I look at my mom's sisters and brothers and think how dare y'all not step up, and take care of her kids, But in another sense, I don't think had I went through any of that, I would be who I am.
For sure.
I think it was destined for me to go through what I went through, to come out better and to be the woman that I am. Because everybody is not for you. Even at a child, when you're younger, they're not for you. You know what I mean? Because ironically, I was in a foster home with two of my cousins, so it was four Boldens there. So these are patterns that are happening in my family. So the way I've decided to deal with it is to be better and not to shun any of them and not to shame any of them. If you see me on Instagram, you always see me with my aunts. I spend a lot of time with them. I cradle them. They have their own issues. But what I do is I love on them, in spite of whatever you might have going on. I want you to know that I love you. You're my aunt. I'm your niece. We're going to have this relationship, healthy relationships in spite of, what people issues might be. I'm not in a position to judge them. I'm just going to love on you. And, I see my mom and a lot of her sisters, so I stay around them all the time. I think as it relates to maybe personality, I have a very strong personality, and I think that also comes from what I've had to endure.
Oh, for sure.
So extremely guarded until I get to know a person and know their intentions, and that may not be a fully bad thing, but I think once people get to know me, they know I'll probably give them, the shirt off my back, even though it may come after I've given you a hard time.
Yes, you're
but
right.
I think that I value my space and my 100%, time, and those people that earn the right to be in it, I'll get the right people, and some people will give up and be like, I'm not dealing with that girl, and then you're not for me in any capacity, right? But somebody that can see past, me being a little more aggressive with you, or saying, hey, I need to really figure out, are you gonna waste my time? What's happening here? They'll stay in it. So
I get the right people.
Yeah.
So how did you get into education? Like, because I'm interested in hearing the journey, because you are literally the best educator I've ever met in my life. I had some great teachers.
It's some good educators.
No, there are some, but
Yeah.
I'm saying for someone that I've gotten to really know, the passion and the understanding, which it's really painting a picture now, even we've known each other this long. It's really, I'm starting to understand why you're genuinely passionate. And you do a lot of your work in like the underprivileged areas.
Yeah.
And I can see why you're so effective, because you understand not only getting them to understand 2 + 2, but what could quite possibly be happening at home.
Correct.
So how'd you get into
Yeah.
education?
So let me tell you, I was terrible in school. Not as it relates to academics. I'm talking about bad, like bad.
Acting out?
I was bad. So the teacher hated to see me coming. When I see some of my substitutes and old teachers now, they run, like literally. And people would think that I would get back what I've given, but nah, because I go about it a completely different way. You know, I got in trouble a lot at school because I knew the work. And the teacher didn't have anything else for me to do. So you created the space and the opportunity for me to get up and slap somebody in the back of the head, you know, or for me to, you know, call out in the class because they didn't know how to differentiate back then. And so I could do the work. Boom, 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 boom. Here you go. What's next? What's next? What's next? So I stayed in alternative school. That means you go to another school and sit in a seat like in this space, and you looking at a wall all day.
Yeah.
Sometimes I was there for 40 days at a time. Like
Really?
literally, yes. Like people laugh so hard when I tell them that. But literally, sometimes I was there for 40 days at a time because I was terrible. Needless to say, my counselor never asked me what I wanted to do when I grew up or when I graduated from high school, that's one of the things that I always talk about when I deal with parents about advocating for their scholars. The counselor only geared towards those scholars that were, you know, never got in trouble, beta club. But that doesn't mean that the rest of us don't want to go to college. She never talked to me about college. I never got, you know, the slips for you to go do the visits, none of that stuff. So I had got back with my mom, ended up going to a connection day at Alabama State University.
What's that?
It's called Connection Day. So that's where all the prospects, if you want to come to the school, you get a chance to come, hang out, go to all these different programs that they have. You get to see the university. Now, most people register for that because your counselor registers you for it. Me and a couple of my friends, we said we're just going up there. We got a hotel.
We're going to pull up.
We got a hotel, went there for the weekend. So we went on the yard every day like we were registered for all this stuff.
This wasn't for any education. This wasn't going to college. It was just, let's go kick it?
But yeah, basically, because we knew it was Connection Day. But something great comes out of it, let me tell you. So all of us, I still have the pictures right now of all of us on the yard, all that. But the thing about it, what I did was I took the documents that they gave. I did get one of the bags. You know, they give you one of the bags, right? And so that means me and all my friends got them. But I took it back home and I gave it to my social worker because my social worker was still tied to us at the time, even though we were back with my mom still working with us. So I gave it to her. She filled it out for me.
Really?
That summer, I ended up in college. I don't know how I got there. Nobody ever talked to me about college. My mom was the happiest person in the world.
Wow.
Literally went to summer school. Didn't wait until the fall. Went to summer school. Ended up in college.
There was a plan for you.
Ended up in college just because I brought the documents home and got them filled out. So I'm like, man, I'm here now. What am I going to do? So I started thinking back to when I got burnt, and I was like, well, you know what? I think I want to do occupational therapy. It's a long program, extensive program, hard, tough.
Explain occupational therapy.
So it's a little different from physical therapy. Occupational therapy, they work on things like, you have people that have ever had strokes and things of that nature. So you teach them how to walk again, how to use spoons, how to use forks, physical, deal more with your bones and things of that nature. So you would have to, in order to be a physical therapist, you really would have to go through the OT. That's the way Alabama State had it set up. So I'm like, not doing well in these areas. When I knew ever since I was a little girl that I was supposed to be a teacher, I've always played school, done all of this. God gave it to me early. I did everything I could to fight against it because I had looked at what they said the salaries were and what the salary is for a PT, this and that. I'm like, nah, I'm going to get through this thing. Met one of my best friends, still my best friend to this day, in the physical therapy, occupational therapy program. And then I said, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. I finally said that. As soon as I changed my major and went into education, I was thriving.
Really?
Literally. Didn't have to think hard about anything that I was doing. Anything that I was doing. Went through the program, no problem. No problem. Went through the program, graduated, got into education, moved to North Carolina where I got my first teaching job at a very diverse area, much different from what I see in Atlanta. This is the first time coming to Atlanta was the first time I've ever been in a school full of African Americans.
Oh, wow.
I had never experienced that. I was floored when I got here. I literally used to take the guy that
Alabama, Dothan, Alabama.
No, but we were in an area where we went to school with a lot of Caucasians.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes. I never experienced that. And when I was in North Carolina, I literally used to take my nail tech, who's Vietnamese. I used to take his son home with me every day. Like, that's how the diversity that I was experiencing, right? And then I came here and I was working over in Bankhead. And I was like, oh my God, my whole class is African American. The whole building.
Right.
I think it was one Caucasian, and then the other one was the actual principal. But she was more black than any black person I've ever seen. She's still my good friend to this day.
Oh.
But I worked over in Bankhead, and that's a tough place to work. But when I tell you it is so much talent and there's some smart scholars in Bankhead, it's there, and you have to want to be there. It's not a place where you just go say, oh, I got a job today. Yeah. You really have to want to be there. In these poverty-stricken areas, you must have someone that really gets up every day and they want to come to work. If not, it's not going to work, and it's not going to come out well for our scholars.
What does someone have to describe somebody that wants to be in that environment? You know what I mean? Like, what type of person is that?
First of all, I'm not focused on, say you come in and your clothes are dirty, right? I'm not necessarily about to go and, call you out. I'm going in the bag that I brought because I got some extra clothes in here because I still want you to be able to start your day, right? I'm going to change you up real quick. Boom, boom, boom.
Are you the type of teacher to bring clothes just in case?
Just in case. Bring the breakfast just in case because you know what you're dealing with, right? I'm not sending you to the office because you don't have a pencil. I'm going to give you a pencil. Let's start our day. I'm giving you expectations of what I expect of you, and I expect you really to exceed those expectations. To other people, it may be too high, but to me, I'm dealing with scholars that I want to learn life lessons that they can walk out this door and say, Miss Bolden taught me XYZ, and I can apply it to when I leave here and I have to go deal with home here in Bankhead. Wow. You really have to look outside of yourself. And let me just tell you, every teacher that teaches in the North, they can't come and teach in Bankhead. They can't go and teach over in the Greenbrier area because we don't have the same type of scholars. A lot of them come from 2-parent homes, and that matters, because they have somebody at home that's working with them on their homework. You got someone that's sitting down with you, somebody that might be reading to you. Where over here in Bankhead, we're dealing with latchkey kids. The oldest one may be coming home, bringing the youngest one home, and they're just trying to survive, basically. So can you be the type of person that look into every little bitty single thing that may turn that scholar off from wanting to learn that day? Nah. Will you have to spend some of your own money? Yep, it's just the way it is, It's just in order to keep the process going, I want you to have a good day here. And I always told my scholars, we're going to have a good day with or without you. Yeah. But I would love to have you here.
Oh. So what have you learned from teaching in that? And what age were you teaching? What grade?
So I've taught 3rd grade, I've taught 4th grade, I've taught 5th grade. I'm really an elementary school. Now, when I do consulting and things of that nature, I go all the way up to 12th grade.
Gotcha.
But as far as instructing, I've pretty much been at the elementary school level.
Which is probably the most, I don't know, every year is important, but laying that foundation.
Oh, it's so important.
Vital.
It's so important. And then you have transitional grades there. You know, third grade is the first time they ever take a standardized assessment, you know, and they're going through so many different changes in their own body. Yeah. You know, they start to change. So you also have to be able to be equipped to deal with that, as well as, you know, they're still immature. Right. They used to be second graders. They were second graders yesterday. They're third graders today. Like, how dare you think that for them to do X, Y, Z? Right. So it takes a tough person to teach third grade. Yeah. It's, you know, it's one of those transitional grades, just like, you know, when they leave fifth grade and go over to sixth grade. Yeah. You know, they leaving elementary school, going to middle school.
Do you have to have do you have to just have a certain level of empathy?
Yeah.
I mean, like, well, here's my question. Are there like people that just come like that can come teach and be effective, or is that something that that needs to be developed? Like, are there some natural, like, yo, I just want to save the world? They just come to you that way, or how do you become effective in that space?
I think some people do come because they want to save the world and they think teaching is the way to do it. And then they may get in one of those areas and they're teaching and then they're like, oh no, this is not it. Yeah. But that lets you know they're not built for it, right? Yeah. So you want to save the world, but you just don't want to do it through this way. You know what I mean? And then also there are some people that didn't necessarily go into education that are wonderful educators because they decided to take that route and go into education. Now they probably struggled, you know, for the first couple of years to figure out what this looks like and, you know, how do I navigate through all of this? But if it's more than just about a check, they'll stay in it, you know, and they will develop the skills that you need to be a compassionate teacher and also elevate scholars. Yeah. I think you just see the difference. You see the difference in it when you're in their classrooms. You know, now that I'm on the outside looking in, it comes with a lot of different responsibility. And, you know, it's different dealing with adults.
And it seems like that's the hardest thing, right? Not the child, but dealing with the parents. Yeah. What type of advice would you give to a teacher with a child that, you know, the world is soon going to give up on, right? What type of advice would you give to the teacher when it comes to dealing with the parents or reaching them or...
I think my advice is more so, and I think we talked about this, and it's funny that you said this. I had a situation with a parent last week. I'm an advocate for parents because I don't think parents know everything that happens once they release their scholars to the school and you believe that they're going to be taken care of and everybody has their best interests at heart. Yeah. I'm an advocate for parents being extremely active in the school system, asking questions, asking the hard questions, right? You know, one thing I tell parents, and I put it on my Facebook all the time, is that you have the right to go to the Georgia Department of Education and to look up your child's teacher's certification. And I tell people to do that because maybe you can see why the teacher navigates the way they do, because if you went to school for art, but you're teaching English, you know, because do you understand what I'm saying?
For sure.
You know, it's public information, you know, and those are things that parents need to know, and it needs to be a habit. Or you can walk into any public school and ask them to tell you what certification a teacher has. These are things that parents do not know. So I want to advocate more so for parents, and then don't stop asking the hard questions because a teacher gives you a little bit of a pushback. Even being an educator myself, I still believe that I want to see you at the school. You know, I want to see you every day up there. Now, is it a way to do it? Yeah. Sometimes parents have to go there, and, you know, and we have to talk them off the ledge. But I think it's accountability on both parts. You know, the teacher can't be offended from a parent that actually wants to be involved and wants to know about what's happening with their scholars' education. When my nephew lived with me, a lot of teachers couldn't deal with me because I wanted to know, what standards are you working on today? They felt like that was offensive.
My
They felt like that was offensive. But what the reason, my reason for asking is because I want to take that information and use it so that I can assist at home, so that I can pull some things around that same standard. You know, so I started telling Nehemiah, when you go in there, if the teacher don't have it on the board, ask her what it is, because I need to know, so that I can pull some things and elevate at home, and she should really be appreciative of that information.
Yeah,
you know,
you on another level for a teacher. If I was a teacher teaching a child and you're his or her parent, I am shook.
I wish every parent was that way, because they have a right to know that.
And it would probably keep me on my job.
Yeah, and they're so intimidated, you know, by the school system, unless it's a teacher calling saying that a child is acting out. Right. But no, I want us to be more involved around the academics, you know, and then the behavior will work itself out, right? So your scholar might be acting out because they know the work and the teacher not differentiating it. So that's a question you need to ask. Well, what work did you give him today? You know, was he able to do it? Yes, he was. And then he started, okay, well, that's a problem that the teacher has, not the parent. Right? So we don't see enough, especially in our poverty-stricken areas, we don't see enough of our parents. And it could be just intimidation, not feeling welcome, the schools not reaching out enough to the parents, you know, not making an effort to, you know, I was that type of teacher. Even over in Bankhead, if a scholar was acting out, and so what I did was I kept a notebook that was all the way across the room. And everybody knew that notebook had everybody's mama phone number in it. So I intentionally kept it across the room, right? So I would say, hey, Rodrigue, go get me that notebook. Right. Everybody starts looking up. Everybody started looking around like, he said, my mama, was I doing something? Who was it? And I make the phone call right then and there, right? Because if it's a lesson that everybody needs to know, then I make it publicly, you know?
Oh, I like that.
So... And then I squashed it. I don't have that problem anymore, right? But I kept constant communication with my parents. It didn't matter if I was waking them up out of bed. You know, I could hear the sleep in their voice. But I'm on the job site. So, hey, I need you to, you know, let's get this together, you know. But I always had good parents. Some of them, I looped up with some of my scholars, and I never met my parents until my scholars actually graduated and went to 6th grade. So that's how sometimes you have that big lack in parental involvement. But we as educators must control what we can control. What I can control is when you get here at 7:10 until you leave at 3:10, right? I can control what happens in those parameters. I can't control what happens when it goes home. If you're a person that never brings your homework, then guess what I'm going to have you doing every day for morning work? Hey, go ahead and get your homework out, because I know you were not able to do it at home. Or before you leave, I'm going to make time in the afternoon, right before we get on bus dismissal. Hey, everybody, go ahead and take your homework out if you're not going to be able to do it. I'm going to make room for it to do it there. If you know they're not bringing in the homework.
You know what? And there, I guess most teachers would say, well, I'm just going to fail you because you didn't do what I asked you to do. Almost in an arrogant way, right?
Exactly. Wow. And I don't know what you dealt with when you got home. Yeah. I don't know what you're going through, you know, when you're at home, or maybe you don't know how to do the homework. Maybe you don't have the support. Or did you send home homework that scholars were able to do without assistance? Because that's on the teacher. If it's homework, it shouldn't be something that they're struggling with. But that goes to content knowledge and people being connoisseurs of the content that they teach. Like, you can't be the math teacher and you don't do well at math.
Yo, I definitely had some friends that, like, I say, yo, I do not want you teaching my child, because
you see what I'm saying?
You giving out the work and then it's just you grade the work and that's it. Like, and I'm like, you right there. I don't know.
I think that's the area of improvement for all educators, and I think in a lot of what you say you see in me, it comes from studying. I'm not, and that's not hidden from anybody else. Everything that I study is available for other people. Yeah. Because I always believe in hitting people back with the black and white, right? I research. You know, I believe that it's my duty, because education is evolving, it's changing every single day. So I read something in my discipline every night before I go to bed. It could be something random.
In your discipline, what do you mean?
In my discipline, meaning in my field of work, education, right? So I look something up every night as it relates to education before I go to sleep. and spend some time in my discipline. Because, and what I'll tell you is everyone can't take me when it comes to talking about curriculum, right? But the best thing is to put me on your team, not think that I'm, higher or above, or I'm like going against you. But you got a strong person that's strong in an area. Don't get intimidated by it. Bring them in closer. Like, oh, okay, I'm gonna let Miss Bolden handle XYZ because she's good at that. She's good with this strategy. Because I'm going to study. I'm not, first of all, going to fail scholars, and now I have adults on my roster. I'm not going to fail adults. So it's my duty to study. Like, how dare I coach someone and I haven't studied?
Yeah. Did you look at my curriculum?
What? Oh, no. I was going to say, what curriculum?
See, that's what I'm talking about. See,
No.
Shouts out to my partner, Philanda. Okay, we worked really, really hard, and she's dope. She wrote the curriculum. And then that's the one who put it together. And then, I kind of bring it to you.
We talked about the curriculum a little bit.
But you said you was going...
And I did. When I went to text you the other day, that's what I said. I was thinking about. I was like, dag, I didn't give him the summary on one of the sections.
Okay. How is it, though, my entrepreneurial curriculum?
So, okay, so what happens is David is...
Stay positive. Okay.
Okay. That's where I was going. That's where I was going. Cool. I was going to talk about, the lens that I have and then the lens that you have.
Okay.
And why it's important to have both.
Yep.
So entrepreneurship, David knows it, right? And he can put together a curriculum as to what scholars need to know to build a business. But the I from an educational stance, and that's just for people that are thinking about, really getting into the school system, because we talked about the money that is there. It's there. If you're thinking about going that route, you want someone that knows curriculum or knows the process, the educational process on your team.
For sure.
Right?
For sure.
So he comes with it from the entrepreneurial side, but I really need to look at it in the lens of what it looks like as far as implementation into the classroom, or a district purchasing the curriculum.
Gotcha.
So,
because you've been a part of the sale of many curriculums,
right?
So, so walk me through like curriculum writing. What do we need? If somebody's out there say, "Yo, I want to teach mental health," or "I want to teach entrepreneurship," "I want to teach something," but I just don't know where to start. Where do we start in curriculum writing?
And so where you've gotten, and what I do love about your new curriculum is that while we do have standards, if you all don't know, there are standards for entrepreneurship because it's a course. It's a course that scholars take.
And what are standards?
So the standard is basically the outline, what you're trying to get the scholar to actually master. And there are multiple standards, which it should be, because you can't master everything in one standard if it's too heavy, if the standard is too heavy. So the state, and then on a national level, there are some entrepreneurial standards. And so what David and I worked on previously is not staying boxed into just those standards, but the way to make the light bulb come on for a district is to see that he's embedded those standards as it relates to literacy. And I don't know if I saw math or something, but he's gone into the content, those major content areas, and he has embedded them into the curriculum.
Shouts out to Philanda.
So
I can't take all the credit. Okay.
It cannot stand alone, because we don't want to just sit here saying we're teaching entrepreneurship and they can't read.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it makes sense to pair up these entrepreneurial standards with the literacy skill, because
where do you find
literacy
the
is everywhere. Literacy is everywhere. It's not one person. Not one person should own the responsibility to teach literacy. So the math teacher should be teaching literacy. The social studies, the science, the entrepreneurship teacher should be teaching literacy. So do you understand? No one person owns that. All of us should be teaching literacy. We have multiple opportunities to tap into ensuring that our scholars leave school, college, are career ready. And one of those things is they need to be able to read fluently.
Explain. So literacy is just the ability to read, or
it encompasses a lot. Comprehending, you got to be able to comprehend knowledge, content, reading fluently as well, but it encompasses quite a few things when we talk about literacy, but you're able to tap into certain parts of that because you're asking them to look at articles in your curriculum, but do they understand the article? Can they comprehend the article? So we're tapping into literacy, right?
Gotcha.
And then so those components actually come up, and that's what a teacher should be able to see if they're trying to implement the curriculum.
Gotcha. Okay. So getting into like teaching children, okay, I think you're just one of the best. And you were teaching me about the Greek and Latin roots. Okay, this is my my favorite part
thing
because it applies to so much.
Don't you
right?
see it all the time now that I put it on your radar?
All the time.
Think about if you did that with a scholar and you're constantly giving them a different root every week and you put that in there on their radar. Yeah. There's no such thing as a big word. They're all made up of small word parts.
Explain it.
So the word can be from here to here, but it's made up of small word parts. So the example that we always use is, so let me start with this. Instead of your scholars doing a list of vocabulary words and just learning those 10 words, those 10 definitions, and this happens a lot at the middle school, high school level, where they're asking scholars to just write these words and write the definition. How much do they remember from that? Nothing, right? And then you come and you give them a test on it. So, but what they really should be learning is the Greek and Latin roots, right? Because every word, most of the words that we read every single day, they're made up of word parts. And then you have the 30-30-30, the 30 most used prefixes, suffixes, and root words. All of the words encompass somewhere in those Greek and those prefixes, suffixes, and root words.
So there's 30, so 30.
Yeah, I'll send them to you. It's 30 most used prefixes, suffixes, and root words.
Let's go through prefixes. Give me some examples of
so that becomes before, prefixes. Like when I told you that it was unacceptable, right? So it comes at the beginning of the word. Means not.
Right.
Not acceptable.
Right. So means not.
Tardy.
So unexcusable, not excusable.
All that means not.
I'm trying to think of another unword. Unreasonable.
Yes.
Okay. So if the kid understands then
anytime they see that on a word, they know. If they don't know the rest of the word, they know means not if it's a prefix.
Give me some of the third. Yes, sir.
No, that wouldn't be a prefix. That's one word.
Understand would not be a prefix.
On understand is not a prefix.
Under is a word.
Right.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
So that's like a compound word. So understand. Yeah.
So give me some of the 30 that you know. Some of the 30 prefixes.
So pre is one. Yeah, like pre-cook something.
Right.
Try is try. And try is not 30-30-30 though, but that's one you remember that I taught you.
Right. Tricycle. Yeah. Triplex.
No, this.
Tripod. Triplex is a 3.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you understand tri, then you know 3.
Yes.
Right? What else? Give me some more.
MANU. Well, that's one of the Greeks. That's the other one that I taught you. You don't remember that one.
MANU.
Yeah.
Men.
No, MANU.
MANU. Okay, tell us.
So MANU means hand.
Right.
So when we think about hand, let's think about, so if I teach a scholar that MANU means hand, that means every time they see that, they should know that that part means hand, right? So manipulate, to skillfully move something around with your hand, right? Manufacture, they make things with their hand, right? Manuscript is a book written by hand, right? Done with the hand, right? So, and then you may go to PED, where we talked about, and I added the tripod. So PED means, when we think about impediment, is something that stands in one's way. Pedestrian is this means feet. PED means feet. POD means feet as well. So that's why tripod is a 3-legged stand. Right?
Oh, that's
pedestrian is someone who walks around in the street on their feet. Impediment, something that stands in one's way. So pedicure, a treatment for the feet. Manicure, MANU, a treatment for the hand.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So if you teach the kid like these 30, they'll know thousands of words.
Oh, it's unlimited.
That's so
It's unlimited.
You see what I'm saying, Aaron? That's so amazing.
It's
All right,
unlimited.
So we got prefix. Give me suffix. Give me a suffix.
So it comes at the end. Ly means
No. Okay, what's the middle one?
root
Prefix.
word.
No, prefix. You said prefix something, and it was
root
3
word.
X's.
Prefix, suffix, root word.
Okay, so suffix, that comes at the end?
At the end.
Okay, so give me some suffixes.
Like ly. It means what? Full of, right?
Beautifully. Is
Full
beautifully
of,
a word?
yeah, full of.
Beauty.
Yeah.
Magically, full of magic.
Yeah.
Expeditiously.
Yes,
Full of
expeditiously.
expedition. Oh, that's hard. Okay. All right. And this is so important. It's fun, but it's so important because I'm about to go home and like teach my daughter. I need the 30.
I'll
because
send you the 30.
if they can understand the 30, it just opens up their world.
Yes, yeah. So and that maximizes instructional time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would come in with my 5th grade scholars and I would give them the weekly route. You know, they would go places. I remember giving them the word, ped. Ped, pod means, stand, right? I mean, means feet. So when they went into the media center that day, my media specialist said, the scholars just kept talking about tripod. This is a tripod. They know that this is a 3-legged stand. And I was like, yeah, because, pod was one of our words because it means feet. So
What about podcast? Is that a...
No.
Podcast? No, that's just a word. That's probably a word we made up recently, right? Podcast?
So that wouldn't be, you wouldn't take that off and use it in that sense.
What about a pod where like you put the furniture and stuff in a pod?
Yeah, but that stands alone.
Also, standalone word. Okay, so it's understanding the suffix and
It's
the
always
prefix.
a
I got you.
prefix and suffix can't stand by itself. It's attached to something.
Hold on, let me educate him. So a prefix or a suffix, it can't stand by itself. So that means a pod is its own word. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to educate you, brother.
Yeah.
All right,
Good
so
job.
give me some root words, examples.
So you give me a root word example.
Okay,
The
okay.
root word is a word that
Beauty.
can no.
Beauty.
Let's so think about beautiful, right? Or what did you just say? What did you say?
Full of beauty.
Expeditiously, right? So if you take the suffix off, what's the root word?
Expeditious.
Yeah. So the root word is what's left after you take the prefix or the suffix off.
So let me ask you, is X the EX in expeditious?
It is a prefix.
That's a prefix. So peditiously must be a root
It is
word.
It's a root word, right? In the middle of it.
So I'll look up some words that have that in it, and it's probably all. That's good.
So do you see that this is why a lot of people don't do it, because look at how tedious it is.
Right.
But the benefit of it when you're working with scholars is wonderful. But
Yeah.
it takes a lot of planning on the front end. You can't just walk in and say, "Oh, I'm teaching Greek and Latin roots today."
I know as a teacher listening, like 5 minutes ago, they're like, "Yo, got it. I'm about to just teach."
No,
Okay. But
you literally have to go and pull
'Cause there's different
whatever
nuances.
text,
Yeah.
whatever text you're doing for that day. I would take it home the night before and start going through it and like, oh, this is an opportunity to teach this one. This is an opportunity, so that you already
That's
know
where the teacher's homework comes in.
yes, if you don't plan, you can't do it. You can't. That's like teaching across the curriculum. You can't teach across the curriculum if you don't plan. You got to plan those opportunities for them to happen. And then as scholars start to catch on, they'll see some. But if you want to be intentional with it, then you definitely have to plan. It takes a little bit of time.
So talk to me about teaching adults, because there's some foundational things that you understand about teaching another human being. What are some things to keep in mind? Like for me, I am a coach.
Yeah.
So I have to teach people certain things, and sometimes they just don't get it,
Yeah.
right? What's some advice you would give to a teacher of all things, right? What are some foundational things I can take with me?
So I think being vulnerable, first of all, to one of the things that when dealing with adults is asking, for help. Like, hey, I need help with X, Y, Z, especially if someone is available.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to say that, you need help. If it's someone that's an expert at something or doing something well,
Right.
I want to reach out to you for assistance with that. Next is being open to implementing new strategies, like your way is not the only way of doing things, right? And then being open to times changing and being flexible. Like if you always, I know right now you hear parents all the time talk about this new math. Now they have to go through all this right here. When we grew up, all we did was do this and blah, 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 blah.
Right, because 14 plus 10 was you just run it.
But that's why we have so many problems now, though, if you think about it. But that's the whole reason why the new concept is having a conceptual understanding around.
Explain that.
So conceptual understanding.
And hold on, Aaron. The camera's good, right? It's still on? Good, okay.
Conceptual understanding versus just being able to do computation in math, right? As an adult, so if you were doing a 2-digit multiplication problem, can you tell me why you put the 0 when you get down to the second row?
You're supposed to.
Why?
Because you put the 0 down there, and then you just go to the next one.
See, it's a disservice. It's a disservice that's been done. Aaron, do you know why?
So you know how you do 14 times 20,
Yeah,
you put
why
the
do you
0
put that
down there
placeholder
first.
there?
Because it's the second row, and the second row is like,
Look at him.
You were closer than David.
like
You were closer than David.
because if you put it all in a line, it wouldn't show up like that. But since
No, we're going left.
And then he
It's
just got
going
worse.
left.
He got
It's
worse.
going-
My man, you was on the roll too.
I thought you had it. I thought you.
Yo, y'all can't see the visual, but my man's heads was like, yo,
Yes,
because the
yes,
lines,
yes.
it wouldn't make sense on the lines. Okay.
The first few words that he had was right. It was right.
Okay, explain it to us. Explain it to us.
Okay, but the point I need to make is that, do you see, we as adults, we don't know because we don't have a conceptual understanding around multiplying. We don't. Now our scholars are doing things, but the reason why you put the placeholder there is because once you come down and you move over and you start multiplying from the tens place, then your answer has to start in the tens place.
No, you didn't.
That is not what
That
you
is definitely not
said.
what you said. All right, explain it, because I'm still confused. The answer has to start in the tens place.
So when you start to multiply, so for instance, if we do 22 times 22, right? So you'll do 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 2 is 4, and then you come down and you put a 0. Then you move over to the next 2, right? And then you say 2 times 2 is 4. But this 2 is in the tens place.
Right.
Because you moved over to that 2. So the answer has to start in the tens place. You can't put the answer under the other 4 because that's the ones place.
Gotcha.
But if you had a conceptual understanding around place value and multiplying, the way the kids are learning now, where they actually decompose numbers, you would know why you put the placeholder there.
So this new math makes perfect sense to you, and you think it's better.
At first, I was like, oh, but the more I get into it, I can see why it makes sense versus the way we were taught. You know,
Because we were just taught to do it.
we were taught procedures. You know, just do this, you do, move here, move over, boom. Couldn't explain it if we tried, right? But now these scholars, because they don't do standard algorithm, that's called standard algorithm, they don't do that for multiplying until they get in 5th grade. So before then, they still multiply, but they multiply using place value strategies. So it's a reason why everything builds on each other, is because they will have an opportunity to do that, but they also will have the opportunity to explain. They'll be able to explain why they're doing that.
So I guess maybe a takeaway from me now is, if I'm teaching someone something, I need to teach it in a way that they can explain why they're doing it, not just doing it.
Yeah.
Because especially as coaches, we tell them to do it because this works.
Correct.
But if they don't understand why they're doing it, they'll end up doing it wrong anyway,
Correct.
right? Because they're just doing it according to their own standard.
Because you said this is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and never explain why this step goes before this one. Why I have to do this before you do this, because this build on this and da 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 da.
And it expands your options and your ability, because because if it falls outside of this process or
You
like
won't
the
know
procedure,
what to do, right? They're lost. They're lost. And then also teaching multiple ways to do things. Like, you know, I'm showing you this way, but I'm also going to show you another way. But you have to research that and have strategies ready when you're teaching adults. Almost like, you know, I broke a lot of adults' heart when we talked about all together is not, we can't teach scholars that always means to add. You
What do you
know,
mean?
when we see that in a word problem.
What do you mean?
Because some of those words that we have that say, these are the words, when you see them, it means add. All together is one of them. So you tell me, does this say add? If I say David and Donesha were standing at the park all together. David threw 10 pebbles in the lake. Donesha threw 3. How many more pebbles did David throw than Donesha? But
How many more did David throw?
and don't even focus on how many more. I want you to focus on the quantities. You threw 10, I threw 7.
And then I'm thinking all together, we just added.
Yeah, because we saw all together, and the teacher told me every time I see all together, I'm adding. So we threw 17 more. Not wrong. So giving a strategy, letting them marinate with that strategy and try it out, then following up, monitoring with the strategy, you know, seeing, you know, what they think about it. Did it work when you implemented it? Do you now see exactly what I was seeing with the strategy? You know, not just to say, oh, I'm doing this because David taught me to do this, but now I really see where he's coming from and why this is actually logical and why I should do it this way.
Gotcha.
You know, getting adults to that point, it takes work, but, you know, I think once they get there and, you know, they're open to seeing other things, it will expand their tools of knowledge.
Do you teach parents to use the gradual release? And you could explain the gradual release because it really impacted me. I never forgot it. But do you teach? Well, explain the gradual release process. And
I didn't know we talked about gradual release.
Yes, we did.
Why?
Because I don't know. It's just a concept that you told me. Well, it's first you do, or no, we do, you do, then you do. What's the process?
I do, but
I
it's
do.
meaning the teacher.
The teacher does it and shows you, and then together we do. We all do it together.
Correct.
And then it's you do.
Yeah.
You go do it.
With a partner, right?
Right.
And then they do it independently. What do you think the implications for that as you coach people? If you think about that, if you think about a process where you model it, right?
Yeah.
You show them what a perfect model looks like. That means you do critical thinking, you're talking out loud, you're going through the process, what steps you're taking. You know, like that's almost the only time it's okay to kind of ask yourself questions and answer them too at the same time, right? You know, and not seem crazy.
Because I'm doing it,
But
just showing you how to do it. Yeah.
Any misconceptions that you think may come up, you bring that into the I do model. It's almost like Beyonce without Destiny's Child type of thing. You know, it's your time to show off. Like this is it. And then when it comes to we do, then your role starts to diminish, right? You become a facilitator. So now I want to hear more from the person that I'm coaching. I want you to start stepping up, you know, and giving me back what I just gave you in the I do.
I'm
right?
still here. You're
still here. You're facilitating. You're probing, right? You're getting them to justify. You're trying to pull things out of them, but they're doing most of the work. And then we move to the you do. If they're there and say you're coaching more than one person, then you partner them off. What research has said is that even adults work better when they're in pairs. When you throw a third person in, somebody stops working, right?
Oh, say that. Run that back one more time.
So
that was good.
What the research says is that scholars and adults perform better in pairs because they'll share the responsibility of the work. When you throw a third person in, somebody stops working. Somebody will stop working, and other people will carry the load of the work. So if you can do pairs, it will be beneficial. Sometimes the numbers just don't work. Or sometimes, I know a lot of times for me, I became the pair, you know, to someone so that I can keep people in pairs. And then the last time
And that explains so much. I was always that third person in a group. I would love groups because I know I'm not doing much.
See?
I understand that about myself. Dang, that's crazy. That explains a lot. And it will always, because the idea is if you have more people, then we can get more done.
Yeah.
But when you see 3, you give the workload of 3, and it just makes the 2 heavier
Yeah.
because now they're splitting somebody's work.
Yeah, because somebody's not participating at all. But think about it from
I
a
just want to
teacher
apologize to
perspective.
anybody that's ever had a group assignment with me. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, you don't look like a good person to have in a group.
Hey, at first you called me fat, and then
No,
called me
I
not a
did
team
not call you
player.
fat. You look
called me
great.
fat
You
a
look
little
great
bit.
today, by the way.
Okay,
You
thank
look
you.
great today.
But, I'm trying.
Okay, keep working. Think about what a teacher could do with that if they take let's take me and you, for example. If we were in the classroom together and I'm a bossy girl and you play all the time, don't you know I'm gonna make you do your work? Right? If we're in a group together and I'm like, no, you doing this one, we're doing this together. Come on over here, So that it doesn't necessarily, these groups don't necessarily have to be academically leveled, but it could be where, I take my bossiest girl and I put her with my laziest boy, and then something magnificent happens with them. Right. And then you get to that last phase where it's I do, meaning the scholar or whomever you're coaching, and they do it by themselves. Like it's almost like an assessment. Like we've gone through all of these phases. Now it's time for you to carry the workload of it by yourself. Right. But don't forget
it's like I do, we do, y'all do, you do.
Yeah. But the key to gradual release is that you have the autonomy to regain control over it at any time prior to them doing it by themselves. So say, for instance, if you got into we do and you're coaching somebody, you just gave it all in I do, and then you move to we do and you're looking for them to give you back, and they go left, but you went right. And then you say, okay, hold it. No, stop it. I'm going to present to you another model. So I go back. Yeah. Don't you know how that takes away for having to retest and reteach? Because people don't understand. If I reteach in the moment, right then, I say, I see you're not grasping the concept, so I'm going to pull it back, and don't show it to them the way you just showed it to them because they didn't get it.
Right.
So you have to plan, and you got to have some stuff ready. Oh, you didn't get that? I'm going to hit you with this. Oh, no, you still don't got it. Okay, I'm going to hit you with this. Okay, you got it now? Oh, okay, good. We're ready to move on.
Which makes sense on what you just said previously a few minutes ago, where you were saying teaching them multiple ways to get to the answer.
Exactly.
But that, again, goes back to the teacher's homework.
Correct.
Of identifying, give me more than one way I can teach this thing.
Yep.
Wow. That's deep.
And I never thought about using it even though I coach, I never thought about using it from a coaching perspective as it relates to, outside of the realm of education.
Oh,
but I think
exactly
in anything that you're trying to teach or you're trying to get somebody to grasp, it shouldn't just be, I show you one time and then you go do it. That's what we're used to, growing up and being in school. The teacher model one problem on the board and then give you a paper with 30 problems on it and say, good luck.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we do that with showing people how to do stuff. I just showed you how to do it. Now you go do it. But I really need to gradually release you instead of just saying, here you go.
That is so good. That is so good.
Never thought about it from that aspect, but yeah.
This is amazing. So, what do you do for schools? Because I guess maybe I don't know if you talk about your journey of your writing curriculums for a company, right? And it paying you good, right? But you're now doing it on your own.
So, what we have talked about a lot is Donesha, you need to go do this as, and what I've always told David is, I don't think I've ever said no. I think I've said not right now.
No, you said no.
Did I? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I'm good
I
at
don't want
saying
you to
no.
know that. No, I'm good.
Okay, great. I said it's not the time. I think
No, you said it to yourself.
I always come up with that, right?
No, you said no.
Oh, man.
A hard no.
Well, it was a hard no. I think in everything that I do, I wait for, my confirmation from God. He leads in me in everything that I do. Every move that I make, especially when it's a major move, small moves, whatever kind of move I do, I consult with him. Before I decided to put myself out on social media as it related to my weight loss, I consulted with him. And when he said it was okay, that's when I started telling my story. Prior to then, people were saying, you should do this, you should do that, you should do that. Nah. And I think because I did it then, I've been protected. I get a few trolls here and there, maybe once a year, but for the most part, I have genuine people that connect with me on on social media, and I think that is from me moving when I was supposed to move, not necessarily moving because that's what everybody else is
100%,
doing.
yep.
I'm moving when it was my time to move, and then I'm staying focused on me. Same thing with consulting, where, and I got to tell you this, which it confirms. And see, this is what I tell you when I gotta wait, and then the confirmation came. I don't think I had a chance to tell you this, but so I'm working with this multi-million-dollar company. I'm writing curriculum. I'm, going in and doing the consulting for them. And what happens is when you're, and this is why I encourage people to study their craft. It doesn't matter if you're working for a company, be good at what you do. Study. Go above and beyond. If you're presenting somebody else's stuff, do it better than they do it, right? So I was at a point where the people would start to request me, not even request the CEO of this company.
Right, so they buy the curriculum for the company, but they're like, yo, we need Nisha to come implement it.
It comes with consultants come with the curriculum in the contract, basically. We'll come and do this many sessions at this many times at this price. So
shouts out to my man who put that together. Golly, I could appreciate it.
But it doesn't have to go through curriculum for you to be there. I'll tell you that. But that is one way. And that whole thing it's all public knowledge. It's just a person that packaged it, right? So if you have the opportunity to go and you're presenting somebody else's stuff, don't be envious, don't be jealous. Do the work and present it, as if it was your own at the highest level. And that's what I was doing. So when I would go into these different districts, people would start to request me to come back.
Real quick, how does it come down to you? Like, is there do they put it together and say, this is what we want to teach, this is how we're going to teach it, and then give you all of that and give it to you and say, all right, now you put it together? Or was it more of, we need a new curriculum to teach math, and you just create some stuff?
No, so this district didn't have a curriculum. Every district doesn't have one, so they didn't have one.
But not the district, but so the company that you work for. How do they decide what curriculum you're going to be writing today?
So that just depends on what's needed and what you feel comfortable with writing.
Gotcha.
Do you want to do any writing around math? Do you want to do any writing around ELA? Because I'm all content areas. I'm not. That's another thing is that I don't box myself into one content. I study all contents because you never know what the call could be. So
I can call you and say, I need a curriculum for third grade reading.
Yeah.
That's all the information you need, and then you go create it according to the
as it
standards.
relates to the state. Yeah.
Dang, that's ill.
That's it. That's all it is. Because you go pull the state standards, and then that's how you write the curriculum. And then you throw in the gradual release, teach them this, do that, tell them what resources they need. Bam, that's it.
You've made that company millions. I know it.
And the crazy part about it is that, and I guess, and I think I've always wanted to move with integrity, no matter what, I decided to do, as I have had all these people coming at me about being my own independent consultant from under that company. And this district constantly reaching out to me and wanting to write me into their budget. We want to write you into my budget. And so because of just where I am as it relates to keeping relationships with people, when I did my contract and did my references, I put the CEO of that company on the reference. Number one, because I'm not hiding it. You know, this is how I met these people, through you, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Because I'm operating in integrity here. So, but when I get the call from the principal, I got a bad reference. I got a bad reference.
What?
Yeah. Now, a company that I've made, really, literally, the company wasn't a company. When I was one of the first consultants when we decided to first get this thing off the ground, and that I've always been there. Anytime you needed me, drop everything I had going on to go. Was pretty much what they call him is me, like his protege. If they couldn't get him, then the next person in line was they wanted me. And I always did right by him, it's just what it was. I just felt like, I was given an opportunity, why wouldn't I have your name on it?
Yeah.
But to give me a bad reference when nobody I've ever worked for ever gave you a bad reference about me,
Right,
you know?
right.
And then, you know, at the parting of us going our separate ways was, you know, after I left, you know, was basically me saying I couldn't do a session that you wanted me to do. So if it was bad, why was I still on the roster to go do a session?
Right. He
you
was
know,
sick.
But
He was
the
upset
thing
about
about it is I'm taking it with a grain of salt, and I'm taking it as, you know, confirmation that I'm doing the right thing, because he knows, because he just knows me, and we've done this work for a couple of years together now, that I'm gonna kill it.
Oh yeah, 100%. When
he's
you told
upset.
me, I said, "Oh, no, oh, you
And he's
about to go
upset.
crazy."
And he's upset.
I
So
bet.
it's a lot of this stuff. You can have all the pieces of paper that you want in the world. It's gonna run off of the work that you do. It speaks for yourself, and then the people that you know, and the relationships that you build. So when I go and do this thing next week, the next school is going to hear it. Oh, we want to use our Title I funds for that. We want to use our Title I funds for that. We want to use our Title I funds for that. And everybody is not happy about that.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, I feel like I took the right steps and I did the right thing.
Yeah.
Everything else is, you know, everything else is on you. The bad reference didn't stop the contract. It's signed. The contract is signed.
Oh, you're a hater. I don't know you, but you're a hater, bro. All right, so what do you go in? And I don't want to keep you too long, but what are you going to go in this? What do you do for these schools?
So I go in, and they already have the curriculum. So what I do is teach them how to implement
The curriculum that you wrote.
some of it, some pieces of it, but it came from the company basically. So what will set me apart from that company is that I will actually go into classroom and coach teachers
Yeah.
in the room.
Mm-hmm.
We can do, like, you know, you do a lot of sessions on stage, and people hear you, but when you start talking about, I'm going to come to your place of business, and I'm going to evaluate, and I'm going to come in there and show you what you actually should be doing and be hands-on with them, people love that. It takes it to another level. Everyone is not a sit and get type person.
Yeah.
They need to actually, if I'm telling you this is how you should teach it, they need you to come into the room and actually teach it.
Yeah.
You know, live in action with their scholars, not us sitting in an auditorium and me constantly talking to you about what it should look like.
Yeah.
So that is what will set me apart from other people that are just really like consultants. It's more so of a coaching type consultant thing.
Eventually, because you got to be able to, I mean, you're going to be in so high demand. What is your plan for scaling it? Are you going to be teaching other people how to teach these things?
I guess that's to come. We'll see what that looks like. I don't.
I think it's going to happen faster than you think.
To what I'm doing, which is why I believe I was entrusted in one of the people that were called on to do that work for that company,
Yeah, for
because
sure.
they saw it in me,
100%.
right? So I would definitely need to see that same eye in somebody else, you know, to be able to say, you go do that work or whatever. I do know that I have a passion to still stay connected to the public school system, because I do believe that our scholars deserve people that want to be there and that are still fighting for them, you know. So I don't want to separate myself fully from the public school system yet, because it's even worse now, you know. Like, you got to have people, as you think about the way we're navigating through this virtual time, and, you know, some people at home, some people in the school, this coronavirus, they really need people in there that are really fighting for what's in their best interest. So I don't fully want to separate from the public school system just yet, but this work, I mean, I'm open to where it's going to take me, but to have someone to go out under me, it's just probably going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah, because they have to be as well read and studied and digging into your discipline like you, and that's gonna be really hard to find.
Yeah, I'm not just like me, but But I want the same passion. I want the same drive. It can't be about money. You know, I never did that work for that company because of money. I did it because I enjoyed doing it. I would have teachers after my sessions come up and give me the biggest hug and just say, you know, you just brought life back to teaching for me. You know, I really thought this was going to be my last year, but I'm going to stay on another year. You know, those type of things are rewards for going into these schools and doing this work, not just being like, oh, they're paying me this amount of money to come and do this PD with you all today.
Right.
Like, you need to
PD,
really
what's
change
that?
someone.
What's
Professional development.
Okay, gotcha.
You really need to change somebody, you know, but which, like, you would be the master or the head of when someone picks up your curriculum, to go in and show them how to implement the curriculum, you know, because you're the brain behind entrepreneurship in the writing of the curriculum. So
when
it
I
will be the
approach
same thing for you.
So when I approach the school with the curriculum, like as soon as we finish it, a part of the package isn't here, you take it and teach it. It's like it's not a one-off speech, right? It's like you go in to the entrepreneurial class or whatever, then I go teach the kids using the curriculum.
Well, one of the things it can be is either you teaching them or you're teaching the teacher that's teaching it. You know, I'm giving you all this many sessions of PD days that's written, you know, with the contract, you know. You'll, over the course of the year, sometimes they'll buy the curriculum and say, you know, we want you here for 5 years. We want you here for 3 years, whatever, however many years. And then over the course of that year, within this contract, you all will have 3 different PD sessions with me.
Yeah.
If it turns out to be a in-classroom type of coaching one-on-one session with the teacher and the scholars, then that's a separate line that you're writing.
Gotcha.
Right? And it's a different price. It's not the same. As to me dealing with a whole group, and then to me coming in and being specific with an individual.
Right. That is awesome. Okay, so so last question is, what do these schools need? Like, why would a school bring you in? What are some of the problems that we're facing in our education?
So they have the option. All schools have options to go outside of their school to find consultants to come in and work on different things that they see is a root cause after they do a root cause analysis. So if you say you have I've done a root cause analysis on my school and my teachers don't know how to use data, then they can write that into their plan, their budget.
They don't know how to use data.
Yeah.
Give me an example.
So data. So when we take assessments and take diagnostic assessments, then it produces data. So from that data, do you know how to take that and actually implement it, leverage it in your classroom for student achievement? Meaning I've differentiated some things because the data is telling me that you're on this level, you're on this level, you're on this level, you're on this level. I'm doing this instruction because this is what the data told me to do. Right.
And you can go in there and teach them how to use the data. To drive performance.
Someone can come in and from the outside and help with that root cause around the implementation of using data in the classroom, because it really drives everything. If you're not using data, then you're going the wrong direction. Right.
Gotcha.
So, but it could be around anything. After you do a root cause, whatever the school needs, they may not feel like the district itself can produce, you know, the support. So they have the right to go outside and get another company to actually do that. But we buy programs every day, all day. So why couldn't it be some of us? You know, we buy programs all the time. And the programs come with, you know, a consultant or somebody that actually, a program specialist that can come to your school and show you how to use it. Same thing.
So you'll create the program specific to that school's need.
Right.
Got you. And eventually you'll have, you know, because you're going out on it, but you've written a bunch of curriculums, but you can't take them you can't use.
It just depends on. Sometimes you can do things that are universal, like if you write one around Common Core, and you know that came out all these states, and now the states have pretty much taken it and they say we're not doing Common Core. Like for instance, Georgia's doing GSE, right? Georgia Standards of Excellence. But when you take that and compare it to Common Core, they didn't change nothing but it. Same thing. It's not. So you can really write a curriculum for Georgia and then take the name off of it and put it for Atlanta Public Schools. And then I'll put it for Cobb County Schools. I'll put it for Gwinnett County Schools. Same thing. Same thing.
I love it. Okay, all right. So I learned a lot, and I just commend you for being a teacher that cares. Because I can firsthand attest that you don't do anything for the money. Like the money is not going to move you.
Yeah.
It has to do some good and it has to help people. So I appreciate that. And on another note, let me not get into it. Never mind.
What other note?
Nothing. I was going to get into your personal life. And
Can you stop
if
it?
you're available out here in these
Stop
streets,
it.
my
Cut
audience
it.
be wanting to know,
Cut
man.
it right now, darling. Cut it.
Because you got the ring, and that's on your ring finger. And
No, it isn't.
That
oh,
is your
no.
ring
Oh
finger.
my gosh, I'm sorry.
See.
Wrong hand.
I'm wrong hand. You see that? Which means.
Hit stop, please.
All right.
I get this every week. Every time I see him, this is.
I'm
This,
fine.
and he
Look.
forgets that he's already asked me this. That's
No,
the thing.
I asked you that, but it was just me and you. Okay, now 100,000
And
people
this
need
better
to know.
be cut out.
It's not.
That part.
It's not gonna be cut out. All right, so you didn't answer it though, so it's not bad. All right, so as we wrap up, I like to make predictions. Okay, so where do you see yourself, your life, your career in the next 5 to 10 years? Because I'd love to look back at this video and say, yo, Nisha said she was going to do it. We sat down in the studio and she said she was going to do it 5 years ago. So what do you think?
Maybe. I mean, I think thriving in with the best of them, as it relates to around educational consulting. I don't know if I can't really say that I'll be still tied to one school. I'll probably be out and about doing this work, building Bolden Educational Consulting Company.
Can I work for you?
We got some work to do, but eventually, yeah.
Give me
I'll
up to
put you
speed.
on the roster. But you're picking up some things.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's all about who you keep your company with. If you're not learning from them, get rid of them.
You'll be a good person to work for. I wouldn't work for too many people, but I'll work for you. You know what I'm saying?
You think so?
I really would. I really
well, that's
would.
good to know. That's good to know because I may have employees, in 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
In 5 years, I mean, I have no doubt that the work that I'm actually getting ready to step into is going to be probably more than I can bear, and it's going to be an overflow because I think I've done my time, and I always do right by people. That's just one of the things that. So when it's my time, I know and I wait for my time too. I don't try to jump in front of other people. I wait for my opportunity, so I know it's going to be an overflow. Like my cup is literally going to overflow.
I agree.
I could see it happening. And then reaching back to get somebody else. That's in just everything that I do. I believe in, it's not about me, because at the end of the day, God gets all the glory. We just a vessel. So, the glory belongs to Him. He gives us the ability to be able to, scuffle through all these tough times and still come out on top. So, I definitely believe in not being greedy and not going back and looking out for other people, and that's just not in my educational career. I think the same thing when it comes to fitness. I believe in sharing everything that has worked for me, not keeping it a secret or asking you to pay for it, because the hope is that you take it and take what you need and leave the rest for somebody else. You know what I mean? And that somebody else picks that up and, uses that same thing to, let me pass it on to somebody else and pass it on to someone else. But, building some type of an empire, just from my last name, because it's been a struggle.
Yeah.
It's been a struggle, but, I think it's all been worth it.
Absolutely.
I'm
100%.
I'm not changing any of it. I'm not taking any of it back.
Gotcha. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for just spending a little time with me and sharing with our audience for the second time.
For the second
first one-
time, I'm talking into this mic. Hello. Let's just
first
take a
one we
moment
had-
before we leave. I want you all to know, because the last time I came here, I remember it, because I remember I had on Blessed.
A vibe called Bus, yeah.
A
Yep.
vibe called Blessed. You remember,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
right,
I remember,
right. We was
right.
up in here chilling. It
And we
was
was on the
late.
other side.
Yes, we were. We were
side,
on that side. We were. It was just David and I here. We didn't have the audio person.
Yeah.
So it was just us. So he's
And I hope
stepped up
Aaron
he
did
stepped
the
up a
right
little
thing with
bit.
the audio. You know what I'm saying? Because that would be.
If he look, I almost got up. Did you see me? Did you see me?
It would be so
Did
ugly.
you see me? I almost got up because If he did not do the right thing with the audio, I won't be back. I won't be back.
I think she'll be back.
I
So
won't
it might
be
take
back.
it would take a little while.
I
But the
will
good
put a
news
price
is, I
on
think we're
it.
good.
If I have to come back, it's a price. It's a price that he gonna have to pay.
Yeah, I ain't mad at that. But I think we good. I think we good. I think Aaron is very capable.
Aaron
of
been
running
on
audio.
his cell phone,
Even,
not
yeah.
listening, not paying
why
attention.
I'm
So
scared.
if this doesn't work, Aaron and David are in trouble. He's been on his cellular phone.
I
Let me
think we
tell
good.
y'all what's going on over here at E Complex. Okay, the stuff that's set up in here, and then now we got the new mics and
Yeah,
the
man.
lights. And is this interview over so that I can really tell about what's happening out here? How?
Everything you say is recorded, okay?
Oh, okay.
Well, thank you so much. Okay, I want you to get some words of wisdom together, okay, that you can share with either educators, parents, or scholars. This episode is sponsored by the Morning Meetup, okay, the only network where entrepreneurs gather every single morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to learn the principles of entrepreneurship. And I think I need you on my call.
So do you have to be an entrepreneur to get on the morning meetup?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We're heavy entrepreneurship, or people who want to start something, they just don't know how.
Okay.
But if you're in that environment, some people aren't entrepreneurs, they don't know what they want to do,
Right.
but they join because they know they want something out of life and they need to be in that positive environment.
Oh, okay.
But I do want to get you on to be able to teach us how to learn, how to receive information and use it. Because we, as entrepreneurs, we get a lot of information, but
Yeah.
no one's ever teaching us how to apply. You know what I mean? So that would be awesome. Okay, so you want to close? Oh, let them know how they can find you.
No, let's just keep that a secret.
Your social media, at least. You know what I'm saying? I'm not asking what bars you go to so they can pull up on you in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? You never know. She'll be out the streets like
where
that.
I'm at. Stop playing. None. Let's see. My Instagram is training 4 my life.
Training for my life.
I just got TikTok
Hey.
because I'm a big sister to a little sister for the Big Brother Big Sister program, right? I got a little sister.
Okay.
So one of our activities was that because we got to do everything virtual. So she was like, I want you to get a TikTok. And I'm like,
You be dope on TikTok.
I've been trying. Oh my God, it's so hard. She laughs at my progress, but I'm getting better.
Right.
I just started with
Okay,
TikTok.
okay.
A couple people have been hitting me up on
Yeah,
TikTok,
you about to be
but
lit.
it's gonna take a little while. Let me get used to what's happening on TikTok because it's a
What's your TikTok? Is it the same? Training for my life?
no. The name was taken. So it's it's T4ML.
Let me just find it
Nisha.
just in case.
T4ML Nisha. That's my name on TikTok. I did one before I came here, and man, it took everything I had.
Let me make sure.
Is that it? It's T4ML Nisha. I'm on TikTok. Somebody came over there and said, "Oh my God, you're on TikTok now." I'm like, "Listen, work with me. No, this is." I'm like, "This is not Instagram
Right,
now.
right.
So just hold on, work with me for a little while,
For
and
sure.
I'll try to get my TikTok game up."
Okay, so Training for My Life on Instagram and
I'm training for my life on Facebook too.
on Facebook. Okay, on Facebook. Okay.
And training T4ML Nisha on TikTok.
Okay. All right. And,
TikTok.
and close out with a word of wisdom either to educators or parents or scholars. Give us some words to live by.
I think in everything that you do, just know that 2 phrases that I always live by is that nothing works but work. You can try to find a way around it. You can try to find an easy route, and it's still going to lead you back to the work. You got to do the work. Stop trying to skip the work. Stop trying to skip the process. Stop trying to skip what's hard. You got to stay in the work. Don't run from the work. Endure the work. Endure the process. And then also remember that it's only you versus you. You see me getting up every day doing this work. It's a million people doing fitness. I don't even see them. Like I literally, people sometimes will be in silent competition with you and you don't even see them because you're so focused on you. Like you are your only competition, in anything that you do, be it your career, fitness, whatever in life, you only go against yourself. Be better today than you were yesterday. And I think that will help us stay centered and stay grounded and not start so many different things because we're worried about what everybody else is doing. Yeah. I'm only trying to, if I took 10 steps yesterday, I want to take 11 today. You know, if I read 2 pages yesterday, I want to increase my reading. I might read 2.5 today, right? So only look at what you've done and be better than that. Yeah. Nothing worse but work, me versus me.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much. Make sure you follow. Oh, how can like a school district reach out to you?
My email is my first and last name. Do I need to say that on this podcast?
Yeah.
You want?
Yeah,
do you
for
want my real name?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Most people ignore it. They don't even call me my real name. They just call me Training for My Life. But it's Donesha Bolden at gmail.com. But, also Bolden Consulting at gmail.com. But, yeah, Donesha Bolden. You can also Google me as well.
You popping out here.
Listen, I've been on Google for a long time. I try because I get tired of telling the story over and over and over and over.
Right.
It's literally, people may think like it's like having a big head, but I'm serious. Google me.
It's just easier that way.
It's easier that way.
Sure.
I've been in AJC, Oxygen, Women's Health, just too many things, to try to keep.
Right.
Just Google me. But
right. Not in an arrogant way. Just
not in an
for
arrogant
resources.
way at all.
Just go to Google. Type
yeah,
in
just
Donesha
go
Bolden.
Google. Yeah, you can Google DONESHABOLDEN.
There it is. Yo, make sure y'all follow my sister. Okay, follow the journey and just be looking out for the consulting and her curriculums and helping your school district. Okay, so I love you all. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful week. Go kill it. Peace.
Peace.